Hey everybody, June is upon us and you know what that means. It's hot scent summer. Right now at Too Sincere, there's a new duo sure to turn some heads. I'm talking about Hot Mom and Dad Bod, the new limited edition pair of summer fragrances at TooSincere.com. Hot Mom is like good times and tan lines, like suntan lotion made from refreshing coconut milk with hints of mango and pineapple. And then there's Dad Bod, sea salt and khaki vibe going on here. The calming scent of sea salt on a sun-warmed beach, ocean waves settling along the sand. The Hot Mom and Dad Bod soy candle duo includes 2 9-ounce soy candles. Supplies are limited. Get them while they last. And for my Chronicle listeners out there, I got a promo code just for you. Right now, JMC15 will get you 15% off your next order at TooSincere.com. This excludes items already on sale, and the offer is valid through July 31st, 2022. You already know what I think about TooSincere.com. I love them, so check out the clean burning, awesome, fragrant soy candles they got at TooSincere.com. Go there now. In today's world, it is but a dream to believe that everybody is promised the opportunity to truly live out their life, reflecting who it is they identify with. And in the LGBTQ plus community, you'll hear a common story of people realizing at a very young age that the way they were told to live their life and the people they were told to love simply did not match and identify with what they truly felt inside. Something as easy as following your heart and living life on your terms should be applauded and respected on all fronts. However, as my guest this week will share, it wasn't that easy for her. Marie Bell shares her story about realizing as an adult that she was living a life that was not reflecting the truth within her. And she shares how she finally decided to honor herself and respect and love her true self by finding the courage to answer the one question she had been asking herself for so many years. Who am I? But having the courage to finally own and identify herself as a gay woman did not come easy. This is Marie's journey, and these are
The Journeyman Chronicles.
Oh, I'm coming to you from my humble abode. Here I am. I'm here to represent the Journeyman Chronicles. Welcome back for another episode. Welcome back. It's another week. Now we're into July. As I record this, it is July 4th weekend. I didn't do a lot of drinking. I always tell myself that I'm just going to let loose one night, but the older I get, the more I don't know. Took a little small vacation with my wife and daughters. Went to Dewey Beach in Delaware. Very short-lived. Our girls just kept us busy, to say the least. I don't know. I don't know where the girls get their energy from. I think my wife and I were ready to have a vacation from the vacation. Anyway, we're back now. Got to see my kids. My mom and my stepfather took our 2 oldest to Puerto Rico for a week. So when we got back from the beach, they were just getting back from the Baltimore. They flew out of Baltimore. It was good to see them, hear all the great stories. So that's how my week's been. I've had a nice, busy but relaxing week, and ending it with July 4th, and I'm going to go back to work tomorrow, and here we are. another episode of the Journeyman Chronicles. I hope you're ready because I got a great interview for you. I got to sit and talk with Marie Bell. Marie used to work with my wife. That's how I got hip to Marie and what she's doing. She shares her journey. She shares her story about realizing that she could no longer live the life she was living as a married woman, married to a man, married for 8 years, together 12. And she finally, after so many years of having this feeling inside, just said, I can't do this anymore. And so the courage to find your footing when you're navigating through something like this is remarkable. I was honored to hear this story. I have it for you now. I want you to relax, enjoy the interview, and I hope that you learned something from it. That's the whole point of the Journeyman Chronicles. All right, let's get started. No one wants to hear me talk. Here we go. This is episode 36. We're moving along.
Okay.
Marie Bell.
So, Alexandra,
Let's go.
She did not tell me you were hard of hearing. Is that since you were a child, or?
Yeah, I was born with it. We actually didn't know that I was hard of hearing right away because it wasn't, like years ago, it wasn't easily detected.
Okay.
So my mom was kind of like, I know something's wrong, because I would have the TV loud.
Yeah.
I didn't talk that much, so she pushed them to do the hearing test, and
Gotcha.
we figured it out. So right away she was like, all right, we're doing speech therapy.
Okay. Yeah.
Because a lot of people with my hearing level, they don't speak as clear as I do. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, when you're going through school and you're going through your curriculum, go ahead, pull that closer if you wouldn't mind. Is that, I mean, like you just mentioned to me, did Alexandra say anything to, are you finding that at this point in your life having to maybe warn people, or have you just said, I'm just going to bite the bullet and roll with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things, I kind of let people figure it out on themselves because I don't want to introduce myself and being like, hey, I'm hard of hearing. And then you hear people being like, they change how they talk. And it's like, no, that's not necessary.
Yeah, you don't want to be handled in a way.
But then it's funny when people, I'll put my hair up and they're like, oh my gosh, what is that in your ear? And I'm like, oh, it's hearing aids. And they're like, wow, never would have guessed.
I mean, I guess it's if nobody can tell, and the reason why I ask is because there's a lot of people that are going through and things like that in life that maybe they find it like a burden to bring up, or they want to just tackle it right away before somebody else.
Right.
It's kind of like this icebreaker. Do we talk about this now and get it out of the way?
Right.
Or I've talked about this so many times that I don't. I just want to. Hopefully, I can make it through the conversation without. And that's something I've never really thought of is losing or having difficulty with a sense. Your sight, your hearing, your touch. It's we rely on that. So you don't find it like you're able to at this point in your life. You're like, I know what my tics are. I know if what I have to do to prepare myself.
Yeah.
If you're going somewhere that you might need to hear a little bit more, or you're going to a concert per se, and you're like, oh no, I think I'll be able to hear that perfectly fine. I'm sure you're already in your rhythm of how you handle things.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes I kind of do feel bad because some people are like, oh, when I first met you, I thought you were mean because you didn't talk to me right away. And I was talking to you, and I'm like, oh, crap. Sorry. I didn't hear you. And then they're like, oh, that makes sense. So sometimes I do find it necessary that I should have warned them beforehand. But after they know, then everything's good.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for agreeing to come on the Chronicles. Alexandra filled me in on what you're doing, and one of the things that I've always been grateful about is when people buy in to do an interview that don't know me, because I understand the vulnerability level, and I understand people don't understand maybe what I'm doing exactly. So I always try to break it down real quick before the interview. And I'm not sure, you said you listened to some episodes already, or maybe you have or haven't. I wasn't sure, but the Chronicles really is just getting to know people in this area and learning about their journey so that we can better understand each other as people.
Right.
Getting to learn more about one another, you start to realize there's a common ground that we may all share that we don't know. And some people will never know because they're not willing to have a conversation with somebody that looks like they wouldn't be interesting. And so, it was like, let me get to know different people and let me share it. And so here we are. So Alexandra mentioned that you guys work together. I try to get as much information as possible, but not too much, because I really want the conversation to be organic.
Right.
So I understand, the microphones and the camera. It's not. This isn't 100% organic, but it's as organic as I can try to make it. Because I want people that are listening to not feel like this is a question answer. It's more like, let's just talk and shoot the shit. I do curse if that's offensive. I won't.
It's cool.
Okay, cool.
It makes me.
I like curse like a sailor. So I'll try to I'll stay low key with it, but I like to just shoot the shit and make this a very fluent conversation. Talk to me about an LPN. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about that first, because very rarely do I talk to anybody in nurse life. I say hashtag nurse life because Alexandra was my first interview, and we hashtagged it. So talk to me about what you're doing, and I know that you took a step back from doing it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been a nurse, still a nurse, for 7 years.
Okay.
When I first started, I worked at the Lancaster County Prison as a correctional nurse for 3 years, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. It's taught me, a lot of mental health, drug addictions, just like different things that you wouldn't normally see in a nursing field. So, but they put like a lot more, responsibility and not enough pay. So I was like, no, I need something more.
Sure.
So then I applied for Kindred at Home, where I met your wife, Alexandra. Best boss ever.
She is.
Yes.
That's cookie. That's cookie points right there.
So I did that for 2 years, home care, traveled different houses. So then I was like, I want more. I need more.
Yeah.
So then I did take classes to do microbleeding, to get certified.
Okay.
I knew that I wanted to run my own business. But I did pause that for a little bit. Right now I'm currently doing travel nursing. So I'm working at different facilities. You obviously make a lot more doing that.
Sure.
So it's giving me that freedom of picking my own hours, doing what I want, because my wife and I are opening up a business.
Okay, wonderful.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, you got a lot going on there. I didn't realize that. When you mentioned that you learned a lot, I wanted to touch on that because the previous interview I had, there was a similar type of feel where there was a lot of education based on mental health. And you bringing that up, was that something that did you go to get some educational courses in regards to the position that you were working there, or were you just hands-on dealing with that in real time?
When you're in nursing school, they kind of like break down like different fields, but you're not like the mental health. Like you'll do rehab centers for a couple hours, so you don't really get the full aspect. But I knew that was something that I wanted to do. But the prison, I didn't expect to do that. Yeah. But the mental health, it just kind of came along with the position.
Was it difficult at the prison to?
Is it difficult?
Was it difficult?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, it's either like you're made for it or you're not. So you kind of have to go in there like, okay, like I'm gonna experience things that I'm not gonna experience at a long-term facility. You're gonna deal with people that are withdrawing from drugs and coming in and out, just not having that support system. Oh my gosh, different crimes, because we do men and women at the Lancaster County Prison. Believe it or not, the women were more difficult to deal with.
Was that right?
Men, yeah.
Was it why is that? You don't know?
I have no idea. I don't know.
In regards to like what?
As in, listening to you, staying calm. They they just a lot more aggressive. I don't know if it was because I was a female. I don't know if that was the
Okay.
case. I've seen suicidal attempts. Had to try to revive one, which we did save,
Oh wow.
which was like a shocking experience. But I knew that's something that I wanted to continue, but you know,
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
financial.
Yeah, I never thought about that, and being exposed to something like that. And the reason why I bring it up is because I'm sure that when you become a nurse or you decide this is what I want to do, and so you're already somewhat prepared to deal with some things that the average person may not see or want to deal with. But in a prison setting, I wasn't sure if that was like a little bit more of a culture shock, so to
It
speak,
was.
where you're just like, oh, whoa, shit, like this is y'all really popping off right now.
Yeah.
Did you ever find that maybe because you were a nurse, they were more able to confide in you with anything?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I would
definitely.
think, yeah.
Definitely, just because I got, the correctional officer, they're there just, to protect
Yeah.
and make sure like the environment's safe for everyone. Where as a nurse, like, I think the toughest part for me was, having that guide of not being too personal, but being able to be there for them as in like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm here to help you. What do you need?
Yeah.
And
I
then
never thought
also
about that.
not like finding out why are they there, and then you're letting that interfere with you being a nurse. So you have to like really separate that. Like you can't just be like, oh my gosh, I just found out he raped a 5-year-old. And
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
So-
wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of like inner turmoil or battles that you're dealing with where you have to like, but this is my job. I need to stay focused on here. That's gotta be difficult.
Yeah. And even saying no, I think that was hard for me. And then it's like no, like I cannot do that for you, or no, I cannot get that, So that it really made me stronger as a nurse.
Wow. You go from that and you're like, okay, wait a minute. You guys are asking me to do a lot more and the pay's not there. I'm assuming that's what the
Right.
final straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. You decided at that point, you went to Kindred, but the microblading and you had mentioned that you've always wanted to do that. And is that microblading itself or just the wanting to have my own business?
My own business.
Okay.
I wanted to be able to do what I want, run things the way I wanted to run it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And that's just always since you were a little girl, like.
Yeah. I mean, so like my mom, she passed away when I was 15.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. But like she's always been like, she was an RN.
Okay.
Her and my dad, like they lived in Puerto Rico, born and raised.
Okay. What part?
In Juanadilla.
Okay.
So I was born in Puerto Rico, my sister as well. So we like kind of just came to Pennsylvania,
Okay.
Lebanon. So she worked at the VA hospital, and I don't know, like my mom, man, like she was incredible. Like she was a part of the community. She always like did events. She had cancer, so she would do like cancer
Wow.
events and raise money. She would do parties to raise money. So I've always, like from the 15 years, I've always seen like how independent.
Okay.
And she was like a go-getter. So
Yeah.
that's something like
It resonates
I
with you.
knew
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So it definitely was an inspiration then, I'm
Right.
assuming. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. When you say throw parties, like personal parties at your house? or-
No, like she would rent out like fire halls
Oh, okay.
and like just sell tickets and
wow.
just have, events. A lot. She danced salsa.
Okay.
So it was,
What was your mom's name?
her name was Wanda Casado.
Wanda? Okay. Well, shout out to your mom. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
I love hearing stories like that because it's like when we talk about like why are you doing what you're doing or getting to know people. It's very rarely do I get to hear who inspired you and where you've got that drive, and I can relate to that. My mom is the same way. Ever since I was young, I saw her doing things that I would like get nervous watching her do because I would be nervous for her, even though she didn't show any fear.
Right.
Performing or like in the front of my mom's a retired teacher, so she would get in front of the school and perform at a talent show, or she did so many things, and there was a lot of inspiration there as well. So I can relate to that, and so I'm assuming that in your endeavors now through life, you rely on those memories with your mom, or did she talk to you about, give you advice, and that you
No,
rely
I think
on?
it's more so like watching.
Okay, what she did.
What she did, and just involving us in her, her journey. Like when they did parties, we were there. Nah, it's not like that now.
Yeah,
but back in years ago, we were allowed to party with the family while they served alcohol. And
Yeah.
it's different now. But
Yeah, things are so different now. So the microblading comes in how then? I mean, that's shaping up the eyebrows.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
whatnot, right?
I'm obsessed with eyebrows.
Okay.
So I think I'm really good at it.
Okay.
It's something that I really want to do, and it's different.
Yeah.
From nursing, so I gave it a shot. But I know I wanted to do a little bit more. I wanted like my family involved in the business. So I'm not really saying anything now what kind of business we're working on, just
but
because
there's something brewing with the family.
Yes,
Can we say that?
Incredible. So you guys are going to see us everywhere.
Oh, say that again. The Incredibles.
Yes, the Incredibles.
Yeah, I like that. I actually like that movie. So now I'm gonna be paying attention now. So you said you're married. How long have you been married now, you and your wife?
A year.
Okay, so
February 14th.
Hey, so talk to me about your wife. How did you guys meet?
Well, she worked at Lancaster County Prison as well.
Okay.
As a correctional officer. So I met her there. We didn't talk right away. And then like one time, like we just worked together, and she just invited me to go out to dance because she knew, like she'd go out with a couple of the girls.
Yeah.
They're, hey, come out. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. And I never did. Like,
sure, yeah.
Like 5 more times, I was like, all right, let's just go.
Let's just get this over with.
Yeah. But we were best friends.
Okay.
At the time, I was married.
Okay.
For almost 8 years, but I was with my ex-husband for about 12 years at the time.
So 4 years and then married for another 8, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we were just best friends. We just clicked. I have 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
They're 17 and 15.
Wonderful.
Yes, they're my pain in the ass, but they're incredible. They're great girls. But yeah, so we met at the prison, and we just connected. So whatever my journey that we're about to talk about.
Yes.
Can we like rewind a little bit?
Let's do whatever you want to do.
Okay. So I don't even know where to begin.
Just take a pause and mention what the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, so I obviously struggled with my sexuality for many, many years.
Okay.
Since I was younger. But I think like being brought up in the Spanish culture, being Catholic.
Yeah, that's even harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was something like you kind of just like pushed off. Like, you're supposed to marry a man. You're going to be, have a family. So that kind of like stuck with me, even though I obviously had different urges.
Yeah.
So then when my mom passed away when I was 15, I feel like my life just happened so fast. Like I had to figure out how to grow up a lot quicker because, my dad, he was left alone to raise 2 girls by himself, 2 teenage girls. So that was really, really hard on him. Yeah. And we weren't easy, like we're teenagers, we're our hormones, and we want to do whatever we want to do. And, like going through school and dealing with, losing my mom, it was a lot.
Sure.
But I just kept pushing, doing what I had to do, in life. Like, okay, I know I need to graduate high school. I know I need to go to college. I need, so those were my main focuses.
Okay.
So when I met my ex-husband, I think it just felt like that's how it should have been.
I hear
He
you.
was a great man. He was great with the girls. But I knew something was missing. Like, I felt empty.
Okay.
And, just being so focused on, like, taking care of my girls, going to college. And that was, like, hard, raising my kids, trying to get my nursing degree.
Yeah.
And then I finally, like, I get this job at the prison. And it was almost like life kind of, like, slowed down.
Okay.
Where I was like, okay, who am I? Like, who am I? And I knew I didn't feel complete. You know, I knew I didn't want to be with my husband because I wanted
Sure.
to be with a female.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, like, how am I going to break it down to him?
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't want to disappoint my girls because, you know, we had a house, I had everything.
Sure.
So
You had everything that you thought was,
Yeah.
was to be had, and I hear you.
yeah. So then just, you know, everyone's biggest fear is like, oh, is it worth losing everything that you have? Is it worth like everyone looking at you being like, oh my gosh, like I look up to you guys and you
Yeah.
guys look like a happy family and everything's going great, and I was just, you know, like I was always worried about what would other people think, what would my family say. And I just remember coming home just being like, I can't, like I felt like I was suffocating. So we just sat down and I told him, like, listen, like I'm really struggling with my sexuality. And thankfully he was supportive.
Okay.
You know, he was angry,
Sure.
upset.
Making a big decision and knowing that the only way she could truly be the best version of herself and also be the best version of herself for her daughters was to make this decision that she needed to identify as a lesbian, and she needed to be in a space where that was welcomed and appreciated. And obviously she understood the dynamics of the marriage she was in with her then husband. But just that decision, that takes a lot, considering the climate of the world. And you know, I can't speak for the gay community. I don't know what that's like, but I would assume that some things are still very stuck in the past, and then you see some improvement, some changes in communities throughout this country. But you know, Marie making that decision, that's admirable. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into how this decision, how it affected her daughters, and we're going to talk about the outcome of the family and friends that she had and how they responded, and how she was able to stay focused with her now wife Belle, how they were able to stay focused and maintain that trajectory of this is where we're going and this is how we're going to live our life. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Like everything that you're talking about, you're talking about it within like a 3-minute window.
Right.
And so it's like it's easy to look at that and go, or listen to that and be like, oh wow, that, you know, it must have not been that hard, maybe a little difficult, but you're talking about, and you were very aware of like the life-changing repercussions that were to come simply by following your heart.
Right.
And so it's like I'm trying to follow my heart, but I know that this could disrupt your daughters. This could disrupt, obviously, your husband. You're worried about, which you shouldn't be, but you're worried about what other people may think.
Right.
And so, like, can you just like break down? Like, I mean, you said you were married for 8 years, together 12, and you're talking. I can kind of relate to the length of my previous marriage was 12 years. Mm-hmm. 11, but a year together, 12 years, knowing the entire time this is a wash. But I had my daughter at the time, and then my son came, and I just said I'll stick around. I'm trying to do the right thing. Puerto Rican Catholic, always hearing, you know, the little do the right thing, do it this way, do it that way. So I can only imagine in that small scale that I'm talking about, talking about, I just want to follow my heart, and I'm about to do something that, like you said, your ex-husband took it well, considering.
Right.
He was supportive. Your daughters, how did they take that?
It's crazy because I thought my oldest would be supportive, and I thought my youngest would have took it harder, but really, it was the opposite.
Really?
And you know, and at that time, like my oldest, like she was in middle school, she was already going through her own little, like being bullied in middle school and going through her little thing, and then on top of me throwing on like what happened, like my issues, it really did take a toll on her, and I felt so terrible. But I knew I had to continue to do what I had to do to make myself a better person, because I wasn't going to be able to be like the mom, the mother that I had to be for my girls. Yeah. Because if I'm not happy, how can I, Right. So, we basically lived in Lebanon. I just started from scratch. Okay. Picked up and went to Lancaster. Took my girls. They started at Conestoga Valley School, which they loved. But that whole transition, like starting on my own by myself, like I've never done anything on my own. So all that fear, like, am I going to be able to do it? Yeah. Am I going to be able to afford, the place on my own and be there for my girls emotionally while I'm trying to figure out who I am at the same time. Yeah, that's the thing I was just thinking is you're going through emotions that a lot of people go through when it comes to divorce. And then you're coming along with, I'm still also trying to figure out who I am. And I know deep down who I am. Right. But that's a hard realization to kind of come to grasp with. And so you moved to Lancaster. Your daughters are enrolled in Conestoga Valley CV High School, high school. How did you handle then doing getting my life together post marriage and also figuring out who I am while balancing your daughters? There's a lot of different hats that you're wearing, so to speak. I think it was a definite like emotional roller coaster for all of us. Yeah, because like I was like, okay, like I'm feeling happier, like I'm doing this on my own. But then seeing my girls like, like being separated, with the family, and my wife at the time, she was very supportive. She was there for me, there for the girls, trying to adjust with the whole new lifestyle that we were going through. But she never once like pressured anything. Like she was just very, very supportive with everything that I was doing. But trying to, introduce my girls to a female. Yeah. Like, they still talk about it now. They'll be like, oh, man, when you first told us that you were gay, and it was funny because I took them to Kalahari, and we were in the hot tub. Okay. And they still, and we still go every year, and we sit in the hot tub. They're like, remember this hot tub? this was the icebreaker hot tub? This is where you told us that you were gay. I'm like, oh, God. But my oldest recently just told me, like, I'm very proud of you. Like, I feel so bad that you had to go through what you had to go through. Like, living this lifestyle that you really didn't want to live because you wanted to protect us at the same time. Sure. And I was like, oh, it meant a lot to me because it was tough. No, I can only imagine. Oh, my gosh. Like, because, like, when my sister was the first person that I told. Okay. I was like, listen, like, I have to tell you something, and I told her that I was gay, and I started crying, and surprisingly, like she was really, really supportive. Hey, I'm here. Yeah. My dad, on the other hand, like he didn't talk to me for a little bit. Wow. Because he was just like, like you're married, and this is how it's supposed to be. He's a good man, and he's taking care. And I was like, I understand, but I got to do this for me. So I dealt with a lot of like outside people trying to disrupt what I wanted to do to make me happy. Yeah. And it's like the best decision I've ever made. Yeah. And it kind of like, why didn't I do this sooner? But then it's like, no, things happened the way they were supposed to. Right. And
when you mention that your oldest says, "I'm proud of you," that's always like the biggest like compliment that I think a parent can get, is when your child sees it,
Right.
and congratulates you or reminds you of your success, even if it's personal growth. It's great to hear, but it's also coming from somebody that you're trying to put in a position that they can better themselves, because that's your responsibility as a parent. So it's almost like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing, even though it feels like, organized confusion, and some people may not understand it. I get it, and my girls get it. I'm sure that was like a moment of, okay, then I'm on the right path.
Right. And, like, obviously it does help having like one of the most supportive, loving wife. We still, deal with some difficulties with, obviously, religious beliefs with families and all that. But what helps is that we have a connection with God. We know that we're loved regardless. So.
Were you already going to like church? And so then when your life opens to this moment where you're like, this is who I am and I'm locked in, how did you navigate through are you still attending the same church? Did you change it?
We found a church.
Okay, yeah, I would think, yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's one of the most welcoming churches in LCBC.
Okay.
So, we try to take the girls along with us and try to build like a strong foundation with God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Everything that we're talking about and everything that you're sharing, one of the things I'm thinking of is, was there ever a moment where you're like, I know that me coming to terms with who I know I am is shaking a lot of things loose, so to speak, and making people question things, but can I just go through this without having to explain that? Like, there's a lot of people that go through a divorce, and it's like, I have to deal with that. But now you're throwing me wanting to be who I am. Why is that? Why does this have to be a problem?
Right.
Does that have you ever?
Oh my gosh,
I would
yes.
think. Like, it just dawned on me now. Like, I dealt with a divorce, but I didn't have to come to terms with who I am, because I knew. But if I was coming to terms with who I am in that moment, and people were dumping their frustrations on top of the divorce, but that's got to be like a huge burden to deal with.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh, especially like you connect with the other family, your ex-husband, my ex-husband's family. Like, I connected with them, so not only that, like, I felt like I lost another side of the family, where they weren't too happy, and I didn't expect them to really understand. I expected them to be upset, but like, man, like, that was hard. Especially like I grew a connection with like the kids, and they're my nieces and nephews, and but anyways, like, having to explain over and over, like, okay, they're like, wait, your girls are how old? And you're with your wife? Wait, are they the? Like, no. But once I like break it down, it's like, oh, okay, all right, cool.
Wonderful. Yeah, and that's really what, like, that's all that fucking matters.
Yeah.
Is that's why I brought that up. Like, can she just be happy people?
Right,
like, what I mean? Like, you're not like abandoning your children and nobody can find, you know what I mean? Like, growing up Puerto Rican in a Catholic household, it's almost like any little thing like that disrupts the status quo.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, just give me a second and let me figure myself out. I'm trying to do the right thing.
Right.
Talk to me about your wife. What's your wife's name?
Her name's Destiny.
Destiny. That's an awesome name.
Thank you. Her last name's Bell, but we worked at the prison, so I always called her Bell.
Okay.
It's funny because like the girls are like, "Who's Destiny?" And I'm like, "That's Bell," and they're like, "What?" Oh my
right now, I know you kind of hit it, and you won't go into the business, but where do you see yourself now, considering everything that you've been through? You've now come to terms and you're happy with who you are. You've got your wife that you feel supported and loved by. Like the road that you've taken right now. How do you feel with Belle and the girls?
Oh my gosh, I feel like we've already accomplished so much, but like there's so much more yet to come.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of growth. Even as like as a household, like from the beginning, it was like a lot of emotional struggles with the girls trying to deal, you know, with mom being with a female.
Yeah.
But just, oh my gosh, sorry.
No.
Just give me a second.
Take your time. You don't have to apologize.
So you want to repeat that question one more
Sure.
time? Yes, all right.
I'll rephrase it. Right now, where is Marie?
Where is, oh gosh.
Like, when you look around, like sometimes I'll be at home and I've got my own journey, right? So I'm at home and I look around and I go, wow, this is where I am.
Right.
And I'm okay. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I don't have any pending doom about, like, I got to deal with my wife because I don't have that relationship.
Right.
I don't deal with, like, currently I don't have a job that I hate.
Right.
You know, like,
okay, I know what you mean.
This is where I am. I'm finally, like, do you feel like I am exactly where I need to be now? Because it sounds like you are.
Yeah.
You've got the great wife, and she supports. That's why I said she supports you. I'm sure that you learn from each other. That's the type of relationship that everybody wants. Your daughters are loving and connected. When you mentioned that your oldest had a hard time with it at first, it sounds like she's come around now. She's telling you that she's proud of you. You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm sure that there's some things that you deal with, like we all deal with. But considering all that, here you are now.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be a great fucking feeling.
Yeah. I mean, because like there's times I'm like, wow, like I've come so far. Like we have our beautiful home, and we're just I feel peace.
Okay, there you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At peace.
You can sleep at night.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's
it made it way more difficult than it was, but yeah.
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 Yeah, and I know what it's like to not sleep at night, and I'm sure you do as well. And the little things, like I just want to be able to sleep at night and wake up and look over and be like, yeah, I'm good. You know. Thank you for sharing, because I know, like I said, that when we started talking in the beginning, and I said it's difficult for people to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's why I was really wanting to do this, because there's going to be people that listen to this that could relate, that they haven't shared.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And there are things that you have that shared and have gone through that I can't relate to, but I'm glad that I'm hearing it, and that's the beautiful part about what I'm hoping happens while people listen to this. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you not knowing who I am and still taking a leap of faith and coming out and sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Incredibles. Now it makes more sense.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurial life that you love and that you wanted to do, is this like, are you phasing out completely with the nurse life and going to focus on that?
Nursing will always be.
That's always going to be there.
Always, yeah. Just because like I have a passion for it. I'm always going to want to take care of people. But I mean, we'll see how like the business goes. But right now, like I want it to be like a family thing. So nursing will always be my number one. So,
okay.
I just want my girls to know, like, whatever they want to do, whoever they want to be, like, just do it. Just be yourself. Be completely happy. Don't worry about what other people think.
Yeah.
And even if it seems scary, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. It always works out in the end.
Well, they've got great parents to back them up. Right? Right. Considering when you see your parents go through something, and when your daughters are looking at you, their mother, that's got to be like the ultimate inspiration. And so when we refer to your mom being an inspiration for you by the things that she did, by action, her compassion was on display. looking at your daughters now, I can see a resemblance where they're looking at you, I would think, and saying, look what my mom went through. And as an adult, when they get older, they're going to start experiencing things that they're going to look back and go, I got an idea what mom was going through in this adult situation. Because as children, you don't know what your parents are going through. You just start remembering things. I can think back and be like, yeah, I remember when my parents got divorced. And when I was a kid, I remember things now that make sense to me. Right. But as a child, I didn't know. Right. And so when your daughters are going to get older, they're going to relate to you more. And I look forward to, now that we're friends on social media, seeing that relationship grow, because that bond that you've created with your daughters will only get stronger because of how strong and how vulnerable you were to say, I'm about to do something that's going to change the game, so to speak, but I need to follow my heart and be who I am. So I commend you. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be it. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel good. Thank you.
Was a little nervous?
Oh my gosh, it was. But you definitely helped me relax.
Good.
So thank you.
Good. Well, I tried. That's the only thing I try to work on is how can I present a platform where people are like, okay, I'm comfortable. Right. I'm comfortable. Now let's talk about something that I'm not going to probably share with most people. Yeah. So.
But my wife, she's really good at this stuff.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh. Very good. Like, I could see you and her going back and forth.
Well, I'll tell you what. When Accredibels become, you see where I'm going?
Yes.
You're picking up what I'm putting down. We'll bring you guys back, or she can come back if you can't. However, whatever we got to do. And we can listen to the Incredible story, and then I'll get to know Destiny.
Yes, definitely.
Because that's an awesome name, Destiny. If you're watching, and I hope you are, I hope you're listening. You're going to be on the Chronicles. Thank you, Marie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to thank Marie for stopping by, sharing her journey. This podcast is blessed to hear this story. It's blessed to hear all, but this one, I was very, very grateful to listen. You hear a lot about, in the gay community, people coming out and people finally living the life that they want to, but you don't ever really get to hear, the real shit, the avenues that people had to walk, and the conversations that people try to avoid because they're trying to stay focused on what they feel is right for them. That's all it is, really. It's just living your life for what you think is right for you. Following your heart and listening to Marie's story. Meeting her, she's this vibrant yet, very held back, and maybe because she was just nervous being on the podcast, but just happy, and knowing the pain that she's felt in her life, losing her mom at a young age, having them to come to terms in her marriage that she wasn't happy because she was living a life that wasn't right for her. Looking at her now, that's why I had asked her, look at where you're at now. What do you see? Because it's hard when you're in the moment. The waters are always treacherous when you're in them, walking, struggling, striving. But at the end, or eventually, you can look back and see where you've been and be happy for your progress and be proud of it. I'm grateful that I got to hear this journey, so I hope you all enjoyed it. Marie Bell, thank you very much. This wraps up episode 36. I am going to be working on a wrap-up episode next week. I'm excited for that. Haven't done those in a while. And I will see you when I see you, and y'all going to hear me when y'all hear me. All right, remember to maintain focus and stay continuous through all 4 seasons. My name is Felix C. Arroyo, and these are the Journeyman Chronicles. Y'all be safe.